Dao. All right, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, get your head together. We're doing an agent series. All right, so you are being invited to talk about it. You know, all the top producers are coming right now, and you are part of that, right? You've been killing it lately, or for quite some time. And we want to basically tap into the Dao brain, the brain trust of what's going on in here, what's in here, and what makes it all work together. So first and foremost, tell us about, you know, where were you raised, where were you born, raised, all of that. A little bit of background so the audience can understand who Dao Pham is, besides being the selfie queen that you are.
Okay, well, I grew up in the Bay Area. Pretty much most of my life I grew up in Hayward, and then moved on over to the San Ramon, Dublin, Danville area, and here I am. And gosh, I don't know. I got into the real estate industry at, I think it was in my early 20s.
Many years ago.
I'm not giving my age.
Many years ago, audience. Many years ago.
I'm still here. I'm still here and surviving, and yeah. I mean, I don't want to stop. I really love what I do. You kind of have to reinvent yourself throughout the years.
Right.
And you discover a lot about yourself being in this industry, a lot. And you evolved into maybe even something you probably thought you wouldn't even transpire into. So.
Okay, so that being said, you started on the loan side, right?
Yes.
And then you switched over to real estate sales.
I didn't switch.
Okay.
I added.
Added. Here we go. Okay.
Started off as a loan processor, became
Right.
a loan officer, and then eventually opened up the brokerage, which then also serviced into real estate. So at the time, you know, license, we were able to do both, up until after the crash in 2008.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you are partnering up together on being back in the mortgage side.
Right, we're going back old school because old school always worked.
So that's the other aspect of it. So you guys will see Dao and I talking more about our new venture here, Motto Mortgage Future. I've got my NMLS, just for the record. Dao is finishing up hers, so her test is here.
Barely.
But no, she's doing it. So now, and then you had a great career in banking, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Not really. I mean, it gave me, just by being there in the retail part of it and learning the banking industry, it gave me a lot of insight of how banking works. Right. But outside of that, that's pretty much about it.
Well, let's talk about your connections from banking. You met a lot of people there.
Like yourself?
Like me, you know. But that seemed to be one thing I noticed too, is that you still have a lot of those connections from, you know, your career there at Chase or whatnot. That you made a lot of you know, relationships, and you forged those relationships, and you're still friends with a lot of those folks.
Yes.
Till today even.
Yeah.
So many years later.
Right, like yourself. No, I mean, it didn't matter if it was in the banking or, it's just me. I just believe in building relationships, and that's how I grow my business. And it's all about relationship. It's not sales, it's relationship building. And that's the reason why I work a little bit harder in maintaining that relationship, even if it's someone that I haven't seen for 3 years because I left the company. But I still have that relationship. And especially with social media, it makes it a little bit easier now.
Right.
Because you don't always have to be able to talk to one another to maintain a relationship.
Yeah. So, guys, for you guys who are Facebook friends with Dao, you guys will see the fact that I might get at the off chance of getting kicked. So I'm gonna just set it back here. No, Dao is very great at sharing her personal life with folks, and you know, whether it's just her dog, you know, did something, or something had happened to her, or a conversation with her husband, those are all things that get posted on there, and she's not doing it to do it, she's just doing it naturally, and she shares her life, and it resonates with a lot of us. And sometimes, I'll get a notification that Dao mentioned you in some comments, and I'm like, oh shit, what is this about? And it'll be something, just smart ass comment or something. But we pick it on each other, and that's the thing. And then when I'm with her husband and she's there, then me and him team up on her, and then we go after her relentlessly. But she kicks my butt in private. I'm just a little bit more public about it. So that being said, your clients, right, which become your friends.
Yeah.
And I know that you're not doing any of the traditional marketing per se, right? You're not. That's not your forte, and you haven't had to do it, and you don't do it. So what I want to basically, let's talk about one segment of how your brain works on this, right? What I've noticed, and if you could share this, a lot of realtors just end up just doing the transaction and then they sort of just disappear. Mm-hmm. You have this ability to stay in focus and connected with these folks, but it's such a huge audience, right? How do you manage that? Number one, number two, and I'll help you if you forget, what the questions are. Dow's just recovering from being sick a little bit, under the weather, and you're a trooper. You came out. The thing is that, so how do you manage that? And then, from the perspective of how is that relationship being the one that you are solutions oriented, because you find solutions for them. And I've been with you in the car, or I'm in the office, and you're taking a call, and you're like, and I'm not trying to eavesdrop, but I mean, you talk so loud, so half the time it's cackling, half the time it's like, okay, I'm going to find someone, I'm going to connect you with Dave or whoever, and then you find that solution. So how do you go about that? How do you maintain that?
I think first off, you just have to be real. You just have to be yourself first and foremost, because people can connect with you better because you're human. And laughter, it kind of brings down a person's nerves, because most of the time when the clients reach out to you, they're probably already having some anxiety because
okay.
Doing what we do and purchasing a home, it's a big step. We are numb to it because we do it every day, and clients are not. This is a big thing for them. So by kind of keep calming their nerves down, I think then they open up a little bit more and they actually become a friend, because you're just being a friend to them. And again, it's just building up that relationship. I'm not really worried about so much of the sale, because I don't believe this is a sales job, even though our industry it promotes sales, top producers and sales and volumes and so on. But I think if we change our way of promoting our industry more of, okay, well, how many relationships have you built up this week?
Good point.
What did you say? What did you do? Oh, well, this agent did this and this to build up this relationship. Because once you build that relationship, your volume just naturally grows. The sales just come in. So I think that's what helped me. And I think also you have to genuinely care about the person.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not about the property. It's not about the numbers and the loans. It's really about the fact that you're willing to listen to their story, because every person has a story. And and sometimes you can sit there and talk about logical mathematics to them, and why are you renting? If you rent, you pay this much and this much. They've heard all of this. It's not penetrating, but it's fear. So you have to kind of dig in and go through the layers like onions. You go into the layers and you work on that. That's part of building a relationship. It's not just being nice and charming or whatever. It's really like showing that you care. So you have to work that layer. Some layers are going to be a little thicker than others, but if you take the time to care, eventually you're going to get to the surface, or you're going to get to the core of that person, and then it's going to end up being a sale. But then you're really guiding a person to change their life, because really when you purchase a property, whether it's a primary home or a residential, investment home,
right,
it's changing their life, and you're a tool to it. You know,
Okay, you said that, all right? You're a tool.
I am. Well, so I don't know. I don't know if that answered.
No, that does. But the thing is, so you usually have that ability, right, to maintain that relationship, to build upon it. They in turn bring you additional clients because they're so satisfied with how your approach is. And you're right. The perspective of that sometimes people get focused on the transactional aspect of it. It's a sale, it's a commission, it's a deal, it's this, it's that. And I think that's where that negativity, that's where that the industry as a whole, when consumers are looked at that, and they look at real estate agents, where our ranking is because a lot of the times that is the motivation. That's the drive, right? The big bucks and this and that. So you, in a sense, are solving their problems. You're a therapist in a sense, right?
Right.
As a lot of us are when we're helping clients and things like that. So I've seen that it's just a matter of what advice would you have to how to manage someone who's in the business or getting into the business? How do you manage that? What would you tell them that, hey, this is how you got to stay in tune with their clients? How do you manage that? What do you do? What do you go about to make sure that you're in touch with them, they're in touch with you?
Well, okay, whether you are new to the industry or you've been in the industry for 15, 20 years, the key to me is all about that relationship building. If you, sorry.
Oh, the noise. Are we getting there?
So, I keep bringing the relationship because it's really that important.
Let me stop you for a second. Dive into it.
A little bit more?
On the relationship building. Okay, fine, relationship building, but bring it down to a level of even more than that. What is that? What does relationship building mean to you? And what do you do? What actionable items do you do to build those relationships?
Well, I start off with just kind of listening to them first. I need to understand who they are, what they are looking to do. And as you work with the client, you start to understand who they are. It takes maybe a few meetings, a few phone calls, a few texts to start to understand their personalities and the problems that they have. And their problem may not be a problem for you, but it's a problem for them, and that's a reality. So you have to get to that problem, understand what's holding them back. I think that's what I do when I say about relationship. It's just not about, oh yeah, let's be nice and saying hi and this and that. Anybody really could be very charming enough to go and say hi and you're a nice person, but I'm going to use somebody else because you're just nice. That's great. Nice is not enough. You really have to help them resolve and overcome whatever obstacle they may have, whatever that may be. It could be a fear because they've just been renting for so long. It could be, they've been discouraged. They don't have enough down, their credit, this and that. You have to be equipped with resolutions for them. And if you don't have it, you need to be equipped to go and find it. And it's okay to take the time to find it. Right. So that's how when I say about relationship building, it's not just about going out there and being nice to people, right? I mean, that's part of it. But a lot of people come to us because they need the assistance, they need the help. And sometimes what I go and I do beyond is that they can come in and they can ask me, well, I just want to buy a house. It's my first one, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of already can do it. You understand it. But it's really guiding them beyond that. Like, let's not just think about your first home, but I want to be there to know that I'm going to help map you to your fourth and fifth home. And they'll chuckle because they don't think they can ever do something like that. And then they end up doing something like that with you. And I said, but it's, again, you're just part of a guide to their roadmap for their life. So it's not just about houses or loans. It's really not. You're tapping into a lot more. Some people might have credit issue. They might not be great at their finances. What do? You have to dig. You have to sit down. You have to talk to them. You have to understand a little bit more in depth than just walking around and looking at houses. Anybody can look at houses nowadays. Right. They really don't need us to go look at houses, or to pick one. But what they do need is our guidance in picking the right one.
Okay, so now that you hit the nail on the head, because there's a lot of, technology-driven companies that say, hey, get rid of the realtor, get rid of the agent. There's no need for the agent. This is all transactional, but it's not, right? And I think even with Kuba, our founder of Realty ONE Group, he's also highlighted the fact that constantly it's that relationship. It's that relationship. His team is like that. I think our culture is like that, or our culture is like that. That relationship building, and I think that's from a wider audience of real estate professionals. They all realize it's that relationship, but how you go about and doing it and building it, you have to be genuine, right? And that's the thing. And
you have to care.
You have to care, exactly. So that's one angle of it. The other angle for you is on your personal side, right? I mean, guys, this girl is like Rudy. You guys have watched the movie Rudy? You remember Rudy? Rudy. This guy is like, I mean, he was at Notre Dame on the football team. He was, trying to get on the team. You got to watch this movie, okay? This is a while back, but still, it's one of those, someone who perseveres. So I'm gonna ask you, okay? So Dow's had a couple tragic situations that no one would want, and house burnt down. That was bad in itself, and then she got her and her husband got rear-ended by a drunk driver, which is extremely scary and just just can throw you out. But the house burning down, that was really I think our office actually really just felt for you. But one thing that now it's been some time and whatnot. And then this last thing, this really bad car accident, your car got totaled.
Right.
And it was a brand, you just got it, 2 days before?
3.
3? So just to go through those things, that can usually knock someone out all the way down to the point where they're down on the ground and they don't get back up, So how is it that you lose your home, you get in this, terrible car accident, I think, for a while you're like, my back, right? So, now I can joke with you about it, but I actually feel bad. I was doing my impression of you, right? I could do it for the audience here too, but I was on point for a while. Yeah, she didn't get up. But so how is it that, and sorry, I know, it could be emotional, especially the house thing. That was hard because we had a online meeting, Zoom meeting, and the next day, and that day before the fire, and then boom, the next day it was gone. And I remember making a comment of you. You were sitting on your couch during the online Zoom meeting that we had for our sales meeting. That was when we weren't doing it in person due to COVID and whatnot. So then, the next day the house was gone. So it was just like crazy for me just to picture that, because you hear about these tragedies, but you never, you never expect to experience it, or someone, a loved one, to experience it, right? So when you and Jason went through that, it was really tough. I think our agents in the office really were rallied up and they wanted to support you guys, and I was happy that happened for you, from that perspective. So you could show a lot of love or a lot of love towards you, because you show everyone love, and you're always nice to everybody. So there's my compliment for you. That's the one and only. One. So, but no, I give her more compliments. But at the same time, someone can go through those things, whether it be another, personal issue in their life, or a death or a divorce or whatever it is. You went through 2 horrific things. How did you get back up? What did you do? What are some of the mechanics? Can you share that with us? Like, instead of giving up, what did you do to get going? Because some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to drugs, some people will be like, hey, I just want to give up. So how did you get through it?
Well, just to think back, it's really not a choice but to get up, because you're still alive, you're still breathing. So you don't have a choice, you got to keep going. Whether you lost a loved one or a house, life goes on, and what you just give up, you can't. It was never an option for me. I think that's why it didn't affect me in that same way. Is it devastating? Sure, but I knew this actually fueled me to do even more, you know. But I do want to point out, like, thank you, and the team for coming in and coming through and donating money during that time. And, you know, we didn't expect it, and it was hard to even have to accept it. But during that time, you know, you forced me to accept it. But it was helpful. But because of that support that you get from your peers and the people that you are surrounded by, it fuels you. It does. It makes you feel like you are valuable. And because you have that, then it makes it easier to keep going. And I think also I'm a little conditioned to, like, something devastating is because after the 2008 crash, you know, I lost my home, like all 10 of them. You know, I was so young, you know, and then I just lost everything. And next thing you know, I'm on my brother's couch and reality kicks in. When you go through something like that, plus, you know, losing my mom at the time, and it was just a horrible time. But I think after going through such an ordeal, you kind of like bounce back when other things happen to you. It kind of builds you. The bad things that happen isn't necessarily bad. You know, it actually is work to condition you, and you learn from it, and you actually become stronger because, you know, you've already dealt it. So I think by the time we experience the you know, losing the house in the fire and just watching your house just burn down to the ground, I think I just told myself, well, okay, well, there's another one down the block. We'll just
Figure it out.
Figure it out. You know, life goes on. There's always another house. You can't sit there and just dwell over it. So it pushed me to even double my production numbers even more, even after that, because I use it to fuel me instead of holding me down.
Right.
If you're asking how, I don't know. I don't know. I just did not give myself a choice. You know, it pushed me to work harder, because now I just went backwards, or at least I felt like I went backwards. But now I have to work harder to just get back to where I was.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it was like at one point we were pointing out that what had happened, and you had shared on Facebook, right? So anything I'm saying is on Facebook, but at the same time, you know, very short time, like 60 days, 90 days, I think you had double digits in sales. You had, you know, so many homes in escrow. You sold more homes in that time period than people do in a year, in a very short time period. And it was amazing to see that your talent, you know, the way you came out of that, and you know, where you said, I mean, one thing I'm going to disagree with you on is that for you didn't have any choice. You got it back up. But a lot of people have the choice that, hey, I'm just going to sit and not do anything and let this weigh me down. And sometimes months, years go by, and I'm sure you've seen people get affected by certain things and these challenges and tests. So it is a testament to you that you decided to make the right choice. So that's where I'm disagreeing with you on. It's for you, I guess it was no choice, but to get up.
Right.
Because that's who you are.
Right.
And you know, with your mom's passing, the real estate crash, the thing, and I appreciate you opening up, because these are personal things. Yeah. But I think it's important for people to understand who you are as a person, not just, hey, the selfie of the week or the day that you post, or, oh guys, look at this! I just ate this fudge, ice cream sundae or whatever. That's like this big, and then like 20 minutes later, I'm hungry. I'm like, oh my gosh! So those are the type of things that I want people to see, which is you, but I want them to see this part of you too, that who you are from that perspective. And it's relatable, from I think our camera guys are crying right now. They're probably, having a little tears in their eyes, because no, it's really tough to go through something like that. So I commend you, Jason, for coming through and getting on there and realizing that, hey, there's a choice, there's a way, there's a solution. But when you're dealing with your own tragedy and then helping others buy that home and get that dream. And one thing about Dao, and she covered this, but I want to highlight this. She's always looking at her clients to see how is it that she's building their financial well-being. They may not see it themselves because they're not in our business. But she's always looking at that, hey, if you move this, if you sold this property and you bought, let's say, a commercial property, or you bought a multifamily, this is how you can get that income. You know, if you're going to go ahead and retire, or you want to retire, okay, how can you make these properties work for you? And those are things, you know, from a property where a lot of realtors miss this. So pay attention to this, where a property will have so much equity in there, and they're living in there, but they're not utilizing that equity. So it doesn't matter. So to your point, when you said that, like, hey, it doesn't matter, you're not using it, it's like you didn't have any equity at all because you're not leveraging it. And so she's not talking about over leveraging. She's talking about leveraging from the perspective of that, hey, tap into that, see what other properties you can buy, see what other you know, wealth accumulation you can do by doing these kind of moves. So Dao, you analyze these whole things, but when your clients, you know, are talking to you and they're overwhelmed, how do you get them to take it one step at a time and not get overwhelmed? Because it's fearful. They're trusting you. They may only know you a little bit, or that, you know, Sally and Debbie, you know, referred you, but how do you get them to trust you?
Well, I mean, I think I have to build up that relationship, that trust. I have to get them to be calm first, and laughter really does help. It calms you down because it's their nerves, and it's very normal. This is a big amount of money you're dealing with. And then when we sit down and we talk about it, and I really break it down, sometimes I go to the point where I'll create a spreadsheet, and I'll put all their expenses and so on, and look in there, and I'll show them, I'm like, this is how much you're spending, and this is how much. I mean, that's a little bit much but some clients, they are open to it and they want that. So I'm showing them, you know, hey, if we did this and we did this, we'll just eliminate like half of your bills if we did this. And I resolve it in that way. So now, because I did that, because they didn't stop to think about it, now they are going to trust me. Now they just ask me, do I turn left or right or go straight? There's no, you know, why. There's no question of why anymore. If Dao says do this, then I'm just going to do it. But it took time for me to build that trust with them, right? Because, you know, I took the time to care. Do I have a solution for everything? No, I don't. But I'm going to definitely try. And so, you know, I think it's important to build that trust with the client, because then they won't go anywhere.
They just keep coming to you.
No, yeah, they go to open houses and agents will try to solicitate, and I'm like, no, I have my agent. I'm never worried about it, you know. And if they want to go, then it wasn't a fit, just like a marriage. It wasn't a fit, and you just move on, you know. So, and it's okay. It's part of the business. So you don't let it hold you down. There's plenty of people out in this world that needs your help. So, you know, you just focus on the ones that want it. Sorry, going back to your question. I'm trying to remember.
No, don't worry. You're hitting it right now. You're hitting it right now. But that's the thing, is that in terms of the relationship building and how you go about it, your approach, and how you get them to trust you. That was the question. But I think you answered that. You definitely answered that. So now, you know, going forward, you know, there's different things that work for different agents, right? But I think the genuineness of, you know, our other agents that I've been speaking to, there's a common theme here, right? And it's the mindset of the positive mindset, and then doing the work for the client, right? And really enjoying what you're doing. And laughter seems to be one of the biggest things too, that helps, you know, everyone involved.
Yeah.
But, you know, on the dark side of real estate, what is it that you don't like? And if you say people, then I'm going to be like, okay, what is it that you do like? You know, but look at those both aspects. What don't you like about real estate right now at this point?
Lazy vendors.
Lazy vendors?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a legitimate answer.
People who are in the industry that don't care enough about their job. Okay, if there's one thing that I do not like about the industry, I see that, unfortunately, and that's just a reality. I think you can see that even in any job or any company, but no, that's something I do not like, and nor do I tolerate. So, yeah, I mean, anything else that I don't like? maybe driving too much now, but other than that.
Other than that,
You still
I'm getting
enjoy it?
older, so sitting in the car hurts a little bit.
Right.
But no, I think if there's the one thing that if I could take away
Sure.
from this industry, is the people who don't care to be in this industry. They don't care about their job, or they're focused on too much of it and treating it more transactional than really caring about the people. Yeah, some of them, some transaction you will not make a lot of money, and some transaction you won't make any money. You'll lose money. Have I gone through that? Sure, once in a blue moon.
Right.
But it's okay, because, sometimes you'll make triple on something else that was just so easy. So it's rewarding one way or the other. You just have to care about the people. But that's I think the only negative thing of what I don't like about real estate is, non-caring vendors.
Okay. What about agents when you have a difficult agent on the other side? How do you handle that?
Oh, I had a few of those.
I mean, was someone getting an ass kicking or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I handle that?
Yeah, how do you handle them? They're irritating you, they're being unreasonable, they're pushing you around, or they're trying to attempt to push you around, and the deal is going sideways, and you are, let's say it's a listing agent, you're representing the buyer, and you need more time. How do you get that going? How do you work with them to convince them, hey, I need your help. I need your help to give me a little bit more time. I need this. What do you do?
Well, I think we have, the first moment you're emotional too, because you get upset because the person on the other line is upset, and it's just easy to, come out and say things you don't really mean. But, I pretty much will let the person vent, and then I vent. And I'll say what I need to say to kind of let them know that, yeah, I'm not a pushover.
Right.
But we have a common goal, and we need to find a resolution, and we need to close this without any issues, because the main people that we need to take care of right now are our clients. It's not about you and I. It's not about the agent. It's about the clients. And so when I get the agent to turn their focus on to realizing it's about the client, it's no longer emotional. And then they kind of calm down, and they're like, well, yeah, I can't fight her, so let's just find a resolution and work together. We don't have to like each other after the transaction's done, but it's done, and our clients are happy, and that's it. Because that's really all it is.
Right. The finish line is the
The
same.
finish line is, it's the clients.
Right.
That's it.
It's the same, and we're getting through that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that gives us a good idea. I know there's some ass kicking involved. We're not really. I think you're being a little bit coy about that, but that's great that you're not a pushover. I think in the industry, because you're very nice, you have a very approachable personality and things like that. So when they're talking to you, they're like, oh, she's so petite, sweet, nice. And then they're like, all right, now I just got the smackdown of my life. Like she's like a UFC fighter. She just doesn't know. I mean, you just don't know when you're going to get kicked or what if you go down that road. But if you're reasonable, then that's the thing. Then people should be able to get through with the direction of the transaction and get it done.
Right. I mean, this is a very tough industry.
Very tough.
It's a very tough industry, and your clients are relying on you to advocate for them, and so you got to represent. So you got to have thick skin. You do in this industry. You can't let people knock you around, and they're going to try. But you just still have to stay focused on what the goal is. That's what you have to do. It's not about fighting. It's not about ego. And if you focus and if you let your ego, take over, you're just creating a mess for yourself and being hated in the industry. And this is a small, even though it's a big industry, but it's really a small world. Everybody knows everybody. All the agents, they hear it, and lenders and so forth. So you have to carry yourself in such a way where you're credible for your clients. And first, I mean, it's first and foremost, it's all about the clients. They need to know that you have their back.
Right.
And so you can't wither down when somebody's going to come and knock you. They don't want that. It's like going to court. You want an attorney who's going to win, or you want an attorney who's just going to make you lose.
Sure.
So it's kind of like that.
But you got to do it with integrity.
With integrity, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. You're answering all of them perfectly right. Don't worry.
Okay.
No, I mean, the right answer is that you're speaking from your heart. You're sharing with us. Now, one last question for you, okay? Actually, two. So, and this is one I ask normally on these agent series that we're doing, is if we got into your car right now, what are you listening to?
Reggae.
Reggae? Why are you embarrassed?
No, it's funny.
Okay, so a little Bob Marley or what?
Yeah, just Islander music.
Islander music.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I go through different. I'll go through jazz and French cafe jazz, and then you go into rap, and then I have a little variety.
Of everything variety.
Yeah.
Do you ever listen to news on like in the car? No. So the positive vibes. What is it? What's the positivity that you're getting? Is it mainly from music when you're on the road, or what? Or you're always on the phone too and talking?
Yeah. I'm on the phone, but a lot of times I try to use the music to kind of help soothe, because I do have a longer drive than most people.
Right.
And it helps calm me and keep me positive, because it is tough. It can work you sometimes. And it's easy to reach to the negative thinking. But I think music, like everybody knows, it takes you and calms you down, and it's therapeutic.
Or lifts you up. It's
Yeah.
very uplifting too. You know?
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're listening to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever helps, so that's.
Okay, good. Now, on a new agent that's in the business, that they're just got licensed, they're feeling like, hey, the market's shifting, this and that. What do you recommend to them who's a new agent? You yourself, I've witnessed it, right? You came in, you transitioned a career, you went from, again, starting from the bottom and working yourself up, and you've been a consistent producer, consistent. What is it that you would recommend to someone who's new in the business?
Like brand spanking new.
Brand spanking. They're licensed. Let's say they've done at least one deal, so they've gotten beaten up a little bit. But from a perspective, I look at it at the public. The public looks at it and looks like, hey, real estate agents it's just easy money, and that easy money deal might be one in 1,000, but most of the time it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of negotiation, there's a lot of moving parts. There's so many behind the scenes things that are happening. So that sometimes, and I feel as an industry, sometimes we are not really good at exposing the hard parts. We're always about, the package, oh, it's nice, and sold, yeah. Right? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when the customer sees that, they just feel like, oh, okay, well, they wrote some paper, it's easy, right? Those that have done it and seen it, and really, there's really some challenges in that. No, I always tell people too, I was like, hey, especially newbies, right? That every real estate transaction has something in it. We just don't know what it is. Whether a seller hasn't disclosed something, or a buyer has some other thing going on, and they haven't told you. So it's not always just like, hey, surface. There's always something underneath that you have that gets exposed, and that makes the deal challenging. But for a newbie, what would you say that how to start developing that relationship that's they're just brand new? Do open houses? What would you suggest?
Yeah, open houses. But I mean, I would even just start with their mindset. Really, is that it's easy for you to go into a seminar and just like they will give you all this rah-rah. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's great. But what I would say is so that they don't fall out or fall off from the industry so quickly, because the fallout period is within the first 2 years. There's a lot of people getting their license and they just fall out. And it's because they're coming in and they're comparing themselves to someone who's been doing it for 10 or 15 years, and they're getting frustrated. And what you have to remember is real estate, there isn't really truly a rule of your business or success. It's like, hey, if you come in and you end up doing one deal, and if you're happy with it, then you succeeded.
Right.
But if you're coming in and you're like, yeah, bro, I really want to do like 50 deals a year, you know, and you end up doing 2, if you're happy with it, then you're fine. Don't compare yourself to someone else.
Right.
Okay, so, and I've learned a lot now that I have a better understanding, because before I would tell a newbie, you know, like, oh, you better be ready, and, you know, you better do this, you better do that. And what I'm realizing is that there's a lot of different levels of realtors out there, right? Some will only want to do it maybe six of a year, and they're good, right? They have their family, they have other things in their life that they want to balance out. And there's some of us who want to go in there and kill it, do 20, 30, 40, 50 houses a year. And that makes them happy, and that's fine. It doesn't make one better than the other. It's what you really want. So if you're new and you're getting into the industry, just pace yourself. It's really about the education and learning and experience. Go out there and network. I know it's easier said than done, but do open houses. Offer. If it means for you to go pick up coffee for a listing agent, then you just go pick up that coffee. You have to do the dirty work at first. But doing the dirty work, I'm telling you, you're gonna be so equipped and so good at later on. I had to do it, you know. Got to go clean that bathroom if I had to.
All of us have had to do that have been around for a while.
Yeah, no one's gonna hand you a deal.
Right.
You know, no one's gonna come and say, oh, can you sell my house?
I'm telling you about the poop story. Did I tell you about the poop story?
No.
There was I was doing a open house for another agent. It was one of the cat situations, okay? So I was doing an open house. It was a condo. I think it was in Alameda. And I had to go there, and I went into the unit, and I was like, you know, just making sure. You go in, you make sure before the open house, right? So signs are out and all that. Yeah. And I walk into the kids' bedroom. I was like, man, what stinks in here, right? And they told me that they had 2 cats. So I was like, okay, it must be the cats. So I checked the litter box, everything was fine. Nothing. I couldn't see anything. And then I went back. I was like, something stinks so bad in this room. I have to figure it out before the open house comes. I climb up on those steps for the bunk bed, and there it was. Cat poop right on the bed of the bunk bed. And I was like, oh, shit, you know? And I was like, it is shit. So then picked it up, of course, with, you know, napkin and whatnot, and got it taken care of. But that's the kind of stuff that we have to do. I mean, there's worse stories than that.
Right, right.
That you just reminded me of all the, you know, that came back to me, is that you have to pay your dues. You sort of get, and that sticks with you. But it was laughable. I wasn't laughing at the time because it was really just terrible.
And you know what the thing is, we still do it. I mean,
Right.
we still, you know,
Sure.
we still have to do these things. But it just really makes you human.
Right.
You know, this is just the reality of it.
Sure.
But for a newbie, it's like, you know, don't think that everything you see online is like it's all bling
Or $1 million
bling.
listing or
Yeah,
things
sorry,
like that.
it's not like that.
That's reality TV
Yes,
still.
Yeah. But, you know, if you want to get in this industry, you do have to be ready to work hard, put some savings aside, like a lot of savings aside,
I love this here.
and be ready to not make money in the first 2 years.
But
That's
I
a
think-
long time with no income. But you
Sure.
know what? It's like going to college. You know, 4 years of college, did you make money? No, you had to pay to get that education. You had to pay $100,000, $200,000 to get that education. And so why is it any different in real estate? The first 2 years, you're not making money, and you didn't even have to pay. You might pay a little bit, but not $100,000.
Right.
So you have to set it in your mind like, hey, this is my college years in real estate. I have to learn, I have to read, I have to interact, I have to do all the things I need to do as if I was going to school every single day in college. So, but if you keep sitting there and thinking, oh, I need to make money in like 6 months, no, sorry, that's not the reality. For some people, they come in and they might come in and make some money, but not everyone.
Right.
There's just only a small percentage. But if you set your mind where it is your first 2 years, it's like going to college. I'm not getting paid. I'm going to have to fork out some money and invest in my business. So that's not any different. If you can set that in your mind and you're okay, you'll last longer in this industry.
No, great point. All your points are on you hit the nail on the head. I'm serious. I'm not even joking around with you. This is there's no like follow up, like, you know, bashing on you or anything like that. But you said it right. The mindset is right, and you mentioned that as the first thing that if they're going to be in this business, get the mindset right. All the mechanics of doing this or open house or this and that, those are all activities associated with real estate. But if your mind isn't right, then you're gonna have a tough time.
Yes.
Right.
You'll
So
fall out.
and you set the expectations the right way.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. You want a donut?
Yes. I deserve one.
Guys, I think she's eaten like 4 already, but all right, thank you for making the time. Seriously, I really appreciate it. I mean, we talk regularly, but I learned some things from you today that I didn't know about, and just reminders. So I appreciate it. Any other comments, Bob Marley? What else would you like?
No, I think maybe the only thing is maybe we can start our focus on rewarding agents and focusing on relationship building.
I think that's a great idea because we, as an industry, conferences are set for hey, here's the newest shiny object, here's the newest technology tool, here's this, here's that, and none of that actually, that accelerates the transaction, and it can get you, potentially a lead or this or that, but there's no magic pill. The magic pill really is the relationship, from that perspective. So if you genuinely care for another individual's well-being, their financial well-being, their family's well-being, and it's really transparent, because I don't think you can't camouflage this. You might be able to camouflage, oh yeah, I'm like this, but you're not. You're not going to be able to camouflage. Either you care or you don't.
Right.
There's 2 segments of society.
Right.
Regardless of race, color, creed, religion, all that, sexual orientation, I really look at it as two buckets of people. Either you care or you don't care.
Right.
And in this industry, you have to care if you want to be in it.
Right.
And you'll do well. Now, I'm not saying that, hey, there's some people that are just solely money motivated, but they're gonna be hollow because they don't really have the wherewithal to care. But those like you, who showcase and share and care and everything, and really do it for the right reasons, that's why you've catapulted into because I've seen you where you didn't have any production to going and having production and constantly, and still finding time to be there for your clients, learn in the process. Even on the commercial side, right? There was a lot of things that, hey, conceptually you understood, but then you were like digging in deep for them to better themselves, better their financial health.
Right.
And so that's fantastic. So you're a great role model for a lot of our agents. And thank you again for all the stuff you do at the One Summit. You're very supportive of Realty ONE Group, supportive of me. I appreciate that, and you've helped out so much. And so you got this.
Pay.
Huh? Donuts pay? Donuts pay. Sure. We got you for that. Thank you.